There's an interesting feature in Oblivion. Most NPCs have their own class category. Like the standard classes the player can choose at the end of the tutorial, these NPC classes come with 7 major skills, a specialization, and 2 preferred attributes. Even NPCs as inconsequential as farmers and ostlers, whatever that is, have their own unique class. As a result, we can create our own custom class modeled after these NPC classes and play the game as an NPC, but with less incomprehensible dialogue and agonizingly stupid behavior. To a point. We're going to try this as a conjurer. Because conjurers are unsurprisingly magic-based, I'm going with a Breton as my race. They have an increased magical pool and an innate 50% resistance to magical damage. Female Bretons start with more speed than males. I expect I'll be doing a lot of running and dodging while my conjured familiars do the fighting, rather than myself getting in there with a sword, so the reduced strength won't be a problem. Of course, I make her as ghastly looking as possible. Not hard in Oblivion, both because there's a randomizer feature on the character creation screen, and Oblivion faces are abhorrent abominations to begin with. Yuck, she looks like a drowned corpse. It's perfect. The biggest difference between the character and player classes is birth sign. NPCs don't have them because they weren't born. They were created, I guess. I don't know. At least as far as I can tell, they don't have them. Keep things simple, I'm just gonna take the mage sign for 50 extra magicka on top of the Breton race's inherent 50 extra magicka. For major skills, we're following what's listed on the unofficial Elder Scrolls pages.net. We take magic as our specialization, increasing the speed at which magic aligned skills level, which can actually make things more difficult. I'll explain why later. Our favorite attributes are willpower and intelligence, giving us an extra 5 points to each, and our 7 major skills, which will all start at level 25 apprentice rank, are blade, heavy armor, alteration, conjuration, destruction, mysticism, and sneak. Personally, I would switch heavy armor or sneak with restoration, since those two together don't really work out too well. Heavy armor is loud and all, and kind of counteracts sneaking, but this is what the class is, so I guess this is what I got. The heavy armor skill is likely to benefit conjured armor, but I have no intention of ever using that anyway. We start with some simple spells like Shocking Touch, a weak melee range destruction spell, and Summon Skeleton, a weak familiar we can summon a fight for us. Oh, and you may have noticed the UI looks a bit different. I'm using the DarnifiedUI mod because Oblivion's default UI is an archaic mess built primarily for playing on consoles with a CRT screen halfway across the room, not for a 1080p LCD monitor within arm's reach. Such is the nature of playing a game from 2006. So the spells we get by default aren't all that great. But fortunately we can buy better ones from the many spell merchants in Cyrodiil's many Mages Guild chapters. But first we need some gold, and an easy way of getting gold is by selling stolen loot to a Thieves Guild fence. To join the Thieves Guild, we need to meet with Armand Christophe in the waterfront of the Imperial City. What's odd is every single time I play Oblivion, and I wait here, I get attacked by a random conjurer. I don't know why, but at least this is a good demonstration of what a conjurer can do. Well, hopefully we do better than that. Armand won't acknowledge the Thieves Guild if our disposition with him isn't high enough, or if you didn't read the Grey Fox wanted posters. I forgot to do that. I played the Speechcraft game a little bit, technically not part of my character's major skills, but I figure even the least charming conjurer can try. You're only as confident as you feel. You could also bribe him.
Can't do better than that.
As an initiation, he wants us to compete with Amusei and Methridel to steal Amantius Electus's journal. If you follow Methridel close enough, you can enter the house right behind her and swipe the book before she has a chance to. I had to pick the lock to get into the house. Security isn't one of my major skills either, but I mean, come on. Honestly, some of the skills in this game feel more like support than anything else. Security, speechcraft, mercantile, alchemy. You're not gonna beat the game with those skills. After joining the Thieves Guild, we can go to Red Diamond Jewelry late at night and ransack the place. The necklaces and rings in this place are incredibly valuable, and if you aren't good at Oblivion's lockpicking minigame, you can pickpocket the key from the guy sleeping upstairs and open everything with it. Ognar and Bruma is our fence, and we can sell all this loot to him. Another mod I have lets me hold down shift to auto-confirm the sales pop-ups. That way I don't have to keep moving my mouse back and forth between the items and the S button. I guess this would make leveling mercantile faster and easier, but I never bother using the haggle option anyway, so who gives a damn. With around 850 gold, I popped over to the County of Coral. I assume these are counties since they're ruled by counts and countesses. City's fine. City of Coral. The Mages Guild here specializes in conjuration magic. I bought a summon zombie spell because zombies are a bit tankier than skeletons, got more meat on them bones, both figuratively and literally. And I bought a bound dagger spell, a cheap conjuration spell I can use to train the skill while my magical pool is low. Because Oblivion's leveling system, much like Morrowind's, is totally logical and makes perfect sense, the cost of the spell is irrelevant to how much experience it gives in a skill. A spell is a spell. 1 magicka or 1000 magicka. The experience you get is the same. So for training, it's better to use cheaper spells. There are other summoning spells I'd like to get, but they're way more expensive both to buy and to cast. On top of that, some spells require a higher level to cast regardless of the magicka cost, so we'll have to come back to get them later. In the meantime, let's get on with the main quest. I skipped the tutorial, but all you have to know is that we were in prison when the Emperor Uriel Septim, voiced by Captain Jean-Luc Picard of the USS Enterprise, and his retinue of bodyguards, agents of the Blades, came through using a secret escape tunnel built into the wall of my cell. Eventually, the Emperor gave me his amulet, the Amulet of Kings, and told me to bring it to Joffrey at the Welon Priory. Then a Mythic Dawn cultist one-shot him. Behold the power of Dragon's Blood. And that's where we are now, bringing the amulet to Joffrey for safekeeping. He informs us the Emperor has another son, one he hid away, in the event that some group tried to snuff out his bloodline. The Septim bloodline is magic because Tiber Septim is Talos now. Don't worry too much about it. He mantled Lorcan and achieved Kim, and he used the Numidium to... Yeah, it's confusing, and there's something about Akatosh's blessing. The lore is very interesting, but it's too much to talk about here. Martin, voiced by Sean Bean, is in the city of Kvatch, and we gotta get him. But it seems a demon door has already opened up here. You see, Mehrunes Dagon is trying to invade Tamriel, but the Septim bloodline, together with the Amulet of Kings, are able to prevent the Daedric princes from fiddling around too much in our world due to the dragon fires being lit. Magic. The throne is empty though, the amulet's septimless, so Dagon is getting bold, opening up gates, violating the Cold Harbor Compact. Also, another thing, don't worry about that. The Elder Scrolls lore is spindly, so the Syl, the god of the Dunmer, did a thing with Daedric princes to bind them. Doing this, he can manifest directly in the world. The Mythic Dawn was already successful in killing all the known members of the Septim bloodline, and it seems they were aware Martin was in Kvatch. This is something I'm not too sure about. I'm guessing they suspected there was a hidden heir here, but they weren't sure who it was, so they ditched the surgical approach and just decided, kill everyone and we'll get him eventually. So as far as we know, Martin could be dead, but we still gotta check, we gotta get into that city. And before we can get in, we need to pop into this Oblivion gate and figure out how to close it. Pretty ballsy all things considered. There's literally no reason to assume it's closable, and if it does close, there's no reason to assume we won't be stuck in hell. But hey, when have silent protagonists been rational? Things tend to work out for them regardless. Get used to seeing the Deadlands. That's what this particular plane of Oblivion is called, Deadlands. Mehrunes Dagon's realm is called Deadlands. Different princes have different planes with different names. Nocturnal's got the Evergloam, Molag Bal's hanging out in Cold Harbor, and the Shivering Isles are home to Uncle Sheo. Being level 1, most of the enemies here are scamps. They throw fireballs, but they're pretty weak. I found a good strategy for dealing with them was to conjure my zombie and let it capture the scamp's attention. Then I'd run up and cast Shocking Touch a few times. I also have a flare spell, which I could cast at a distance, but I'm pretty sure most Daedra are, at the very least, resistant to fire. Considering they live in this place, they probably don't mind fire too much. I assume it's the equivalent of splashing someone with water. It's like, yeah, it's annoying, and if it's high pressure enough, you could hurt someone with it, but when you think about it, humans are water elementals. You know, there's something funny about a zombie smack turning Daedra into ragdolls. Oh, Jesus. I thought you were an enemy. You gotta be careful, man.
You bastards!
Well, before we can close this gate, we need to learn how to do that. We kill the Dremora Sigil Keeper and take the key he's holding, and the guy over here in the cage tells us we need to remove the Sigil Stone from the top of the tallest tower to close the gate. Why can't we free this guy? What's gonna happen to him? I don't know. Best of luck to him though. This time around I killed stuff on the way to the top of the tower, but the truth is you don't actually have to. Once you grab the stone, the gate begins closing and you'll eventually be teleported out. Pretty convenient. By closing the gate, you are rewarded with the stone itself, and it allows you to enchant some of your gear. This one has frost damage for a weapon, or 10% frost shields for armor. Why not add it to my robes? Not like it'd be any worse. Mages, chilly robes, brr, so cold. Now with the gate closed, we can enter Kvatch and find Martin. Although at this rate, we're more likely to find ashy cinders on a wall with the silhouette of Martin at the center. Oh, he's alive. Oh, that's good. But he refuses to leave Kvatch while it's still being threatened by the lingering forces of Oblivion. Looks like we've got to press further into the city. Thankfully, I have a squad of Kvatch and Imperial soldiers to act as cannon fodder, while I hang back and summon skeletons and zombies. Easy enemies or not, with how many there are, and with how weak I am right now, the extra help is much appreciated. I got to level 50 Conjuration during this campaign, unlocking the ability to cast Journeyman level spells. We'll still need to buy them though. We fight our way to the palace, tasked with finding the Count and bringing him out to safety. By the looks of the state of things, I'm guessing he's fine. Whoa, this room is weird. I'm gonna leave. Here's the Count. Let me check for a pulse. Yeah, he's probably not gonna make it. I'm just gonna take his ring and be off. Oh, Savlian wanted the ring. Yeah, fine, take it. He gives us his stupid light armor cuirass as a reward. Doesn't he know conjurers only use heavy armor apparently? Now we could pick up Martin from outside Kvatch and head off to the Wayne Priory. Well damn, the Mythic Dawn are already here, surely planning to steal the amulet. They stole the amulet.
Don't do that. Let's continue.
Oh my god, Martin, are you alright? Alright, hold still, let me just... There. All better. Why are you mad at me now? To keep Martin safe, we're gonna bring him to the main base of operations of the Blades, Cloud Ruler Temple. This is a longish cutscene. It's just Mahdi making a speech about trying his best, so I hopped around the place to entertain myself. Jumping in Oblivion is nonsensical, and I love it. Shouldn't the temple be behind the walls, not above them, at the top of a staircase? They should install some kind of guardrails or say... Oh, okay, I'm fine. Ugh. Martin's face is all messed up again. Oh no, it's spread to Joffrey too. What should we do? Should I go to Bruma to get help? No, I might be contagious. Maybe we should just quarantine here at the temple. What if we...
That's it. Thank you.
Oh, I love this game. Okay, so our first task now that Martin is safe at the temple is to meet with Boris. The very same Boris we met in the prison when the Emperor was killed. He wasn't fired. We need to get the Amulet of Kings back and he might have some leads. But before we get on to our first task, we first need to do some housekeeping. Let's pop on over to Bruma and level up. The first building I went into I thought was an inn, but it's just a shop. And then I had a thought. I'm gonna need a good deal of gold to buy spells, and getting gold in Oblivion can be a bit tricky. However, alchemy is a pretty reliable way to turn cheap ingredients into not so cheap potions. Basically buy a bunch of food for a couple of septims each and make restore fatigue potions and sell them for a profit. Alchemy is not one of the conjurer class's major skills, so would it be rule breaking to use alchemy to make money? I mean, acrobatics and athletics aren't major skills either, but I can't imagine a playthrough without jumping or running would be any fun. Let me write that down. As a compromise, I won't make any potions that'll help me in combat. I'm just gonna use alchemy to make money. Treat it like a support skill. Any potions I make, I'm gonna sell. The next building I went into was the inn. I took a nap and leveled up twice. I had enough skill ups from all the kvatching. Notice the extra stat points available for certain attributes? Like Morrowind, you can add points to 3 attributes per level, and the amount of points an attribute will get is based on what skill you leveled up over the course of that level. If you get 10 destruction levels, you'll be able to allocate 5 points to willpower because willpower governs destruction. The problem is getting 10 levels across your major skills levels you up, so if you use your major skills a lot, you're going to level up before you can get a high enough attribute spread. Ideally, you'll place 5 points in each of 3 attributes by having only useless major skills that you use only to get a character level. This isn't that big of a problem in Morrowind because enemies don't scale with your overall level, at least for the most part. In Oblivion, everything scales. So it's possible to get 10 levels and have terrible stats while fighting scaled enemies who are scaled with the assumption that you don't have terrible stats, but you're probably like somewhere in the middle ground. You know, they wouldn't scale the enemies to assume that you're the best you could be, but they weren't going to scale the enemies assuming you were going to be the worst, because then it would just always be easy. If you get 10 levels with the minimal attribute allocations, you'll only increase your attributes by a total of 30. If you're optimal, you'll have 150. It's not easy to balance a game with such a wide disparity in the potential character builds. It's probably possible to do, but Bethesda sure didn't do it. Before leaving Bruma, I bought a shock spell from the Mages Guild here. It's like Shocking Touch, but with more range, and it's way easier for you to miss. Also, that Summon Daedroth spell, I'm gonna want that later. I can't cast it right now, and it's too expensive, so we'll just keep it in mind. Instead, I went back to Coral and bought a Summon Flame Atronach spell. I've never really played Oblivion with summons, so I'm interested in testing some of these out. I don't think it'll be that great considering a lot of enemies are resistant to fire, but time for our rendezvous with Boris. We meet up with him in Luther Broad's boarding house and sit down next to him. He tells us not to speak to him, but just to follow him into the basement after the guy in the corner tails him down there. In the basement, Mythic Dawn, whoa! Go, fire Atronach, use flamethrower. Or just lunge at him, or whatever that works, I guess. Lightning bolt. Done. So the assassin has a book on him. Commentaries on the Mysterium Xarxes, Volume 1. We'll take that for later. Alright, Boris, what's our next move?
There's a scholar at the Arcane University. Tarmina's her name. Supposed to be an expert on Daedric cults.
Daedric? We swing by the Arcane University and have a chat with Tarmina, who tells us that there's 4 volumes of the commentaries, all written by someone named Mangar Cameron. She gives us a copy of the 2nd, but she's not sure how to get a hold of the 3rd and 4th. She suggests we talk to the proprietor of the 1st edition, a bookstore in the Market District. Fintia seems to know a bit about these commentaries.
It comes in 4 volumes. The first 2 volumes are rare, but you may run across them from time to time. The 3rd and 4th are impossible to find. I happen to have a copy of Volume 3 on hand.
Not really impossible to find, are they? Some elf named Gwimtittles or something already called dibs on the book. He's actually on his way to pick it up, but he's remarkably rude to us when we try talking to him about it.
Are you deaf?
Instead, we wait for him to pick up the book and then talk to him about it. We tell him that the Mythic Dawn cult were the ones who killed the Emperor, and he naturally just believes us. With a name like Gwimtittles, you'd think he'd be a bit more assertive. He gives us the book, and he even tells us about the meeting he had arranged with the cult to get a copy of the 4th, since that's the only way to get one. The meeting is in the sewers, so we grab Boris and we head off. You know, they're cute when they're small, but when they start getting too big, everyone just flushes their pet goblins down the toilet, and this is what you end up with. Full-grown gobbos running amok in the city sewers.
Over here!
Boris, are you alright? Okay. You know, they're cute when they're small, but when they start getting too big, everyone just flushes their pet mud crabs down the toilet, and this is what you end up with. Full-grown crabs running amok in the city sewers. We arrive at an inconspicuous table and chair. I told Boris to wait in the shadows while I sit at the table as per the cult's instructions. But before I can smooth talk the elf and convince him to give me the book, Boris jumps out and presses the attack. He usually dies here, but not this time. We dispatch the cultists, one of whom gets stuck in this door performing a very rude gesture, and loot the final copy of Mankar Cameron's commentaries. The elf was also carrying a ring with a 7% fire shield enchant. Better than nothing, right? So the incredible secret is just words spelled out by the first letter of each paragraph in the books. It tells us where to go and at what time. It's somewhere in the Imperial City. How convenient. And here's the sewer cultist's little base of operations. Quite the ritzy setup. Come, join our cult. Sleep in the sewers. In fact, I will sleep here and get another level. And in one of the loot chests is a base Ring of Shadows. It gives 20% Chameleon, a useful enchant for stealthy characters, but I'm more interested in that value. 1,340 septums. After escaping the labyrinthian Imperial sewers, we can follow the incomprehensibly obscure hints in the 4 books to learn the location of the cult's headquarters. By going to the Emperor's Way in the Imperial City at midday, the tomb of Prince Camaril shows us where to go. I wonder if Mankar Cameron picked this tomb because of the similarity of their names. Also, I like to imagine everyone knows about this phenomenon, but it's such a regular occurrence that no one thinks anything of it. The tomb is glowing again happens every afternoon. So when you get to the location marked on that map, there are a few different options you can take. One way is to pretend you want to join the cult. You hand over your equipment and are allowed to walk through the Mythic Dawn's caverns without being attacked, and you can go about the rest of the infiltration like a spy. I opted for aggression because it's easier. Kill Harrow and take his key. Enter the caverns and start killing. The cultists aren't all that tough, and my zombie is good at drawing aggro while I zap them from a distance. Our main reason for being here is to get the Amulet of Kings back, or at least to find a lead. When we get to the shrine at the end of the caverns, we find Mankar Cameron giving a speech to his acolytes while preparing to sacrifice some poor Argonian schlub because Bethesda really needed to hammer on the fact that these are the bad guys. As soon as Cameron senses danger, he sloops through a portal, but leaves behind the Mysterium Xarxes itself. A bit irresponsible, but to our benefit. We take it and get back to killing while we figure out how to escape this maze. Alright, zombie. You get behind him, and I'll push. Okay, that was kind of mean. Xarxes in hand, we return to Cloud Ruler Temple and tell Martin what we learned. He says he can decipher parts of the tome in order to figure out how to open a portal to Cameron's paradise, his own personal pocket of oblivion, where he's most likely keeping the Amulet of Kings. But while Martin works on that, Joffrey tasks us with rooting out some spies in nearby Bruma. But first, let's level up again. Not a lot of attributes to allocate this time around. Not liking that. Yeah, okay. And that's how Mehrunes Dagon conquered Tamriel, by relying on the hero of Kavach's clumsiness. How can we be sure this woman is a Mythic Dawn? Oh, there we go. Oh my god, is this place full of lightning rods? Stop missing. Good job, Tony. His name's Tony, by the way. Tony Zomboni. Favorite food? Macaroni. Favorite inventor? Marconi. Once, he took an arrow below the knee. Oh, that was a stretch. Since Jarl the Spy is dead, she's unlikely to be bothered if we rummage through her stuff in her home. In her basement, we find orders from the cult. They're either so confident of their success, or they're totally inept because not only have they neglected to use any kind of cipher, but they use their spies' actual names in the correspondence. Well, time to kill Savory. Savory indeed. Back to the temple. Am I the only one who does this? But I like to jump before I talk to someone so I freeze in the air above them. Martin's discerned that to open a portal into Cameron's paradise, we need the blood of a Daedric prince, a Daedric artifact. Any artifact will do. Normally, I'd pick a somewhat useless artifact to hand over, like the Sanguine Rose or something like that, but the easiest and earliest artifact to get comes from Azora's Quest. You only need to be level 2 to do it. I swung by the Imperial City to buy some glow dust, which you need to summon Azora's attention, got attacked by some cultists, and then went on an alchemy spree to make some gold. As I've said, just about any food can be turned into restore fatigue potions, and you can find food all over the place. Steal it from shops, grab it out of barrels, actually buy it from innkeepers. One place with a good supply of food is the vineyards outside of Skingrad. Tons of grapevines you can harvest, and the game doesn't even count this as stealing, even though it totally is. After selling all the potions, I returned to the Coral Mages Guild to check the prices on some of the spells I wanted to buy. And that's when I realized being a member of the guild means I can take a bunch of the stuff in the displays. Look at all these soul gems. Sure, I have to pick the lock, but lockpicking is really easy in Oblivion. I actually think Oblivion's lockpicking system is the best among all of Bethesda's games, including the newer one like Starfield. Starfield's minigame is interesting, but I don't like that I can't test my own skills on high-level locks without allocating perks. Same is true for Fallout. Skyrim's system is pretty good too, but that one feels a little more luck-based. There's less skill involved with that one. But I do like that I can go through 50 lockpicks trying to unlock a master lock with one lockpicking. The Elder Scrolls Online has a decent lockpicking system too. It's actually pretty similar to Oblivion's. In fact, it kinda looks like what Oblivion's was trying to be. Anyway, we have a couple grand soul gems in this case worth 350 septims each, a few hundred septims worth in this one over here, and even more food lying around to make potions with. Now that I have about 1,000 gold, it's time to buy some new spells. We'll grab Summon Dremora because I'm curious how tanky it is. The zombie's good, but it's pretty slow. If the Dremora is anything like the ones I fought, it's probably quick. But in case it's not that good, we'll buy Summon Headless Zombie too. It's like a regular zombie, but it's stronger because it don't got a head. I'm starting to feel more like a necromancer than a conjurer at this point with all the skeletons and zombies. I prefer to use non-undead, so living summons instead, but I'm working with what the game's giving me. We will buy the Daedroth soon enough though. Onto Azora's Quest. Some of her followers got mixed up with a vampire, becoming vampires themselves. She wants us to go to the gutted mine and put them down, freeing them from their affliction. Pretty sure there's a way to cure vampirism. Well, I guess killing them is a cure, but I think there's a non-lethal cure as well. This is easier. Okay, maybe it's not that easy. This is why I put points into speed, by the way. A mage without magicka can't do more than flee while they wait for that magicka to replenish. If you can't outdamage your opponent, and you can't outrun your opponent, you're screwed. So what's the ruling on using staves? I got this one from the cultists when I stormed their little hideout. Using a staff doesn't level up any of my skills because there's no staff skill, and as far as I'm aware, skills don't actually affect the staff's damage. A staff's power is what it is, and there's no changing it. They're basically magicka batteries when you think about it. Am I no longer a conjurer because I used this staff in desperation against the vampire? If so, oh well. Good job, Tony Shoulders. That's the zombie's name, the headless zombie, Tony Shoulders. Ooh, short sword of sparks. I could use that, or I could just sell it. Getting into melee distance is kind of dangerous. For our service to Azora, she rewards us with Azora's Star, a powerful artifact that should be one of the last on your list to give to Martin. But this is a one and done playthrough, so I don't care. The star is the same as its incarnation in both Morrowind and Skyrim. It not only acts as a soul gem capable of holding a soul of any size, but it doesn't break after use. It's great for playthroughs that rely on recharging enchanted weapons. This isn't one of those playthroughs though. Here you go, Martin. Azora's Star, just for you.
Azora's Star.
While Martin sorts that out, Joffrey asks us to deal with some trouble brewing in Bruma. While we're there, let's stop in with Ognar and sell some stuff. Some merchants don't buy certain goods, but guild fences aren't particularly picky about what you're trying to move, stolen or otherwise. Not only will he buy the Ring of Shadows I picked up earlier for 500 septims, but he'll also buy all those soul gems I swiped from the Coral Mages Guild. This affords me enough gold to buy the Summon Daedroth spell, but I don't have enough magicka to cast it yet. Instead, I'll buy the Summon Skeleton Guardian spell. Again, I've never played a conjurer before, so I have no idea if this familiar is any good. We'll find out.
Prevalent in the Somerset.
Could be a dangerous situation.
Is it a different skeleton each time, or... So an Oblivion gate opened up outside of Bruma. Captain Bird gives a nice speech and all, but like, guys, you're not essential, you're all gonna die. My favorite feature in Oblivion is how broken jumping can be, with even middling acrobatics. I think you're supposed to traverse the pathway to get to the tower, but if I can make this jump, I can skip a ton of fights. The trouble is getting out of the lava once I land. It might be a shock to learn, but lava does a lot of damage when you swim in it, and when you try to reload, your game crashes. Oblivion doesn't play nice with newer operating systems. Let's load back in. Alright. We haven't used our Breton racial ability yet. I don't know if the 50% shield works for environmental damage, but it's worth a shot. Nope. Just need some footing so I can jump. Ah, there we go. Hero of Kvatch. Believe it or not, the Oblivion protagonist is actually the ancestor of all of Skyrim's horses. Slopes are subjective. A Dremora! Get him, Boney! I guess that was more of a Pokemon battle. If you assaulted the other trainer at the start of the battle, that is. Another Dremora! Boney, I'll shock him. You grab aggro. Boney? What? Why are we not fighting? What's going on? Yeah, alright, into the tower. Ooh, yikes. Gotta watch out for those spikes in the walls. Oh, loot. Oh, I'm gonna die once I grab these coins, won't I? Hero of Kvatch. It's a good thing Maroon's Dagon uses the exact lock and key mechanism as they do in Cyrodiil. Are you kidding me? I have to make sure a bird is with me, but I just aggroed the whole room. Ugh. Okay, bird. Watch carefully. See that sigil stone? To close the gate, just take it. This one came with a 10% shield enchant, so I'm gonna put it on my gold trim shoes. With Bruma sorted, we return to Martin to see if he's made any progress. He tells us we need the blood of the divine. Where do we get that? From Tiber Septim, of course. There's some armor of his in the old ruins of Sancretor, a secret known only to the Blades, and we gotta go get it. But the place was sealed by the Blades after the Underking cursed it. This is the very same Underking from the Daggerfall games, and the Warp in the West. Where were you when the dragon broke? Before I did that though, I was under the impression that I had to go to each hold and close each of their personal Oblivion gates. Honestly, I've only ever done the main story a few times, so I didn't remember. From this gate, I got a sigil stone with fortified 20 points to magicka, and then I realized this was a waste of time. I did get a level from the gate though. Oh damn it, I'm a vampire now. Must have caught it during Azoras Quest. Well, I guess we're beating the game as a vampire because curing this would take way too long. Vampirism isn't so bad in Oblivion though. If we don't feed on anyone, we go full vampire, plus 20 points to acrobatics, athletics, destruction, hand-to-hand, illusion, mysticism, and sneak, and another plus 20 to strength, willpower, and speed. It comes with a 50% weakness to fire and 8 damage per second while in sunlight, but we'll just avoid sunlight. I've done that my whole life, it's easy. The damage isn't the problem. What's annoying is you can't fast travel while taking damage, so a lot of times you'll walk out into the open, try to go somewhere, and then get the message saying you can't fast travel while taking damage. So then you have to go back inside and wait for sundown. Since we're in the Mages Guild, we can just take random clothes out of this wardrobe, so let's grab a shirt and enchant it with the Magicka enchant. I don't mind losing the Frost Shield enchant in my robes, I think the Magicka is more useful. Whoops, and no pants. Let me grab a pair of pants. Merry Christmas. While I'm here at the Mages Guild, I'm going to buy a better shock spell. It has a greater magicka cost, but it does more damage. The weaker spell is technically more magicka efficient, but bigger numbers give Brain the good feels. Sancretor is a nightmare. First of all, I couldn't wait anywhere in the dungeon. It kept saying I was in combat, and since waiting has been my primary means of healing, I was running around like a wounded deer. If deer could shoot lightning. Just use potions, you say. I could, but I'd rather use those potions during combat when I normally can't wait to heal. I can't even use healing spells since conjurers don't believe restoration is a perfectly valid school of magic. I'll make do. There are 4 skellies in this dungeon we need to kill in order to free the spirits of the 4 blades trapped within. Once we do that, the ghosts open the path forward to the armor of Tiber Septim. We grab it and get the hell out of here. Martin, I got your dumb armor. Now you need a Welon Stone. A greater Welon Stone. Alright, where to? Miskarkand. Alright. We'll go there after buying the Summon Daedroth spell. Notice the magicka cost is much lower. The higher your level in a school of magic, the cheaper the spell costs. A spell costs 1.4 times the base cost with 0 in a skill, down to 0.2 times the base cost at 100, scaling linearly. So basically a spell can cost 40% more, or it can cost 20% of the base cost. It's still an expensive spell, but I'm hopeful that the Daedroth will make up for it in strength. How could a giant crocodile not be strong? Get him, Vex. Okay. Get him, Vex. Can you stop running past? Would you just get someone, Vex? Alright, now there's a skeleton here. I'm so confused. You know what? The enemies in this place are so tanky, it's probably easier just to book it while sending out summons here and there to draw attention away from the faster enemies. Pardon me, Mr. Bones? Oh, that goblin's got somewhere to be. Ah, the Welon Stone. How easy was that? Combat? Who needs combat? There's an army of monsters chasing me, but that's fine. I'm fine. Let's just freeze time while we pick this lock. Watch out, zombie. The door's opening. Can you imagine how vile this place must smell? And we're out.
Whoa!
Oh, right. Vampire. Martin, we're back. Got the rock you wanted? Oh, look at you and your new duds. He tells us we also need the opposing counterpart to a greater Welon Stone, a great Sigil Stone. This means we need to let Mehrunes Dagon open not any old Oblivion Gate, but a great Oblivion Gate. Fortunately, we know from the Mythic Dawn spies that the Mythic Dawn is planning on opening a great gate outside Bruma, much like they did at Kvatch. The plan is that we let them, so I can run in and grab the stone before the city is overwhelmed. It's at this point you can go to each of the cities, solve their respective Oblivion Gate problems, and get the counts to send troops to help defend Bruma. I think we'll be fine with what we got though. Look at this crew. An entire family of identical 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 decuplets? This event is pretty simple. Daedra will swarm out of the gates and you gotta fight them off until the big gate opens up in the center. It's mostly just scamps and flame atronachs with the occasional Dremora here and there. The gate is open, quickly, through the low-res firewall. What we gotta do here? Same thing as we always do. Get to the top of the tallest tower and take the rock. But this time, we're timed, because there's a giant cartoon drill being wheeled toward the gate. I'd be lying if I said I never got lost in these places. Alright, main tower, and I'm very low on health. You can't wait in here because of the time limit, so we gotta proceed very carefully. Quick, Vex, help me. Oh. Holy shit, Vex, good job. Grab the stone. We did it. Let's go open that paradise portal. Whoa, Marty. Are you the bad guy? Alright, let's go kill an elf. You'd think a place with a singular path would be easy to navigate, but I did get lost a couple times, mostly because I was trying to avoid enemies rather than fighting them. Eventually, we run into a Daedra named Kathutet, who has the goofiest looking face I've ever seen, and he's got a pair of really cute bracelets, Bands of the Chosen, that we need to proceed further into Cameron's paradise. We can either do a task for him in exchange for the bands, or we could just kill him. I killed him. Took his sword too. The bands give a 50% weakness to fire, and once we put them on, we're unable to take them off. Fire weakness, whatever will we do? If we didn't put them on, we wouldn't be able to go through this door, so we don't really have a choice. As Cameron taunts us, his voice seemingly omnipresent in this realm, we meet Eldamil, which I'm pretty sure is a brand of laxative. He regrets being in the cult, having helped at the siege of Kvatch, and wants to aid us in defeating Cameron. I'm not one to turn away a perfectly good meat shield, and he even promised to remove the bands for us if we just play prisoner for a little bit. It's not the heat that gets you, it's the humidity. Jeez, Tony's shoulder knocked that guy's head into his chest. At the end of our journey, we come to what looks like an Iliad ruins, and two members of the Mythic Dawn approach us.
You should not keep my father waiting any longer. He expected you out.
Oh, he's your dad. That explains your last name being the same. On the way here, I picked up a Dagger of Pacification from one of the cultists. Calm up to level 10 for 15 seconds. I wonder if that'll work on Cameron's kids. Keep them from interfering in the fight, you know? So, Mankar's got a monologue. Let's use this time to summon Vex and pacify one of his kids.
You were the last gasp.
Seems to work. We can zap Mankar a few times, but we have to be careful since he can cast a spell reflect buff on himself, and his gear has innate damage reflection. While Vex gets in his face, I'll try to draw one of his kids away up the stairs and take them out while... Oh. Did Vex just clobber Cameron on his own? Oh, Eldamil died. Yeah, screw him. Now that Mankar Cameron is dead and we got the Amulet of Kings back, I didn't loot it, but magic. It's time to relight the dragon fires and restore the protections Tamriel has against the encroachment of the Daedric Lords. Unfortunately, as we meet Chancellor Akato in the Imperial Palace, Mehrunes Dagon sends his forces to attack the Imperial City itself. Our job now is to protect Martin as we escort him to the Temple of the One, killing any Daedra that try to stop us. Except Vex. He's a Daedra, but he's cool. Man, look at all these scamps. Such a nuisance. It's a good thing all these enemies are human-sized, otherwise we'd have a I think we could scoop by him.
We're too late.
Yeah, Martin. I could see. We're standing right under him, you jackass. I know, Temple of the One. We're literally 10 feet from the door. Come on. Now that we're in the temple, I sure hope Dagon doesn't smash the roof in and Martin doesn't transform into an iridescent dragon aspect of Akatosh. What did I just say? Well, that's Oblivion as a conjurer. I thought the Mankar fight was going to be tough, but it was literally the easiest part of the whole run. I was always hesitant to use summons in Oblivion because of how brain dead the NPCs can be in this game, but watching enemies ragdoll from being smacked by a headless corpse or slapped by a man-croc is pretty satisfying. If I do another Oblivion run, I might do a different storyline, Mage's Guild or something. The side stories are where Oblivion really shines. Maybe I'll try fisting Mannimarco.
What